It's the conservative views on world news. Brought to you by The Wellness Company. Prepare for the unexpected. And Refuge Medical. And now, it's time for the show.
Well, hello, everybody. What a surprise. Another wild week of stuff and things. How are you, Clay?
I'm good. At least not overbearing to the point of just one topic. We got some variety this week.
Yes, more than one topic. It's amazing, and it's all coming up right after this. Well, I mean, nothing ever ceases to amaze anyone at this point, right? Like anyone who had their bingo cards out have just like thrown them up in the air and all of the pieces, the little circle thingies, they've just scattered everywhere because there's so many things on these that have happened that they're not on anyone's bingo card. Come on. There's no way you had some of this stuff, right?
No. No way. No.
So
the world gets weirder by the day. But when the most consistent thing is President Trump, that's saying something.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Yeah.
Like, of all of the wild things that have been going on, he is the least of them. He has been like, just a steady. He's been the rock. He's been the rock. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna let y'all act crazy. I'm just gonna keep plugging along here and getting my stuff in order. And
outside of the bullets of the year, he's been very, kind of low tone, from really the debate, RNC, and even the RNC wasn't on his part wasn't outlandish.
No, right.
So yeah, he's the quiet one. What the hell happened?
What's happening? That's so crazy. So, so probably the most obvious. Let's talk about the Olympics. And sadly, we're barely going to talk about the actual Olympics. We're going to talk about what overshadowed the Olympics, the insanity. The people that thought this was a good idea.
Yeah, there are a lot of things wrong with this Olympics, and we're going to talk about the opening ceremonies because that's the big one. But there's a lot of things wrong. And every time one of these 4-year athletic events, whether it's the Olympics or the World Cup, those are the two big ones.
Right.
There's always some problems. Okay, fine. I get it. There's a facilities issue. There's this, there's that. This one seems to be worse than most. The Olympic Village is so bad that athletes are leaving and getting hotels. There are an American, I think it was Coco Gauff, the tennis player. She reported at one point there were 10 female athletes to 2 bathrooms.
Oh boy!
And then some left, went to hotels. So the accommodations are terrible. We've had accusations of spying. Drones being used during practice for teams to spy on other teams. So there's that. There's also the two Brazilian athletes, one of them a surfer. I don't know if you heard this. So he had, there's that amazing statue of Christ overlooking Rio. He had that painted on the bottom of his surfboard. Right. Okay. And he was told he could not surf with that surfboard.
Oh, wow. I did not hear that.
That on the bottom, right?
Wow.
On the bottom of the surfboard. So he had to get rid of that. And then there was another Brazilian athlete, a female. I don't know what event she was competing in, but she wanted to be able to thank God in, her acceptance, whatever. She just wanted to be able to stand on a podium or stand in front of a crowd and thank God for where she was at. And they told her absolutely not. So what she taught herself how to sign it. So she
really,
and I'm not a sign language guy, and but she got up there and she signed it because they told her she couldn't say it. So she figured out a way around it. So there's all of those things, and
Mhm.
we can go back in time. And again, we're going to talk about the opening ceremony, but we can go back in time to what was it, 1934, 38, right? You had 38.
Mhm.
You had the Nazi athletes, the American athlete.
Mhm.
And there's that epic photograph, two Nazi Germany athletes, in the Heil Hitler salute, and you got Jesse Owens standing there saluting like an American soldier. And then, of course, you've got the 60s, where you got the two American athletes in the Black Power, and the steroids of the Soviets through the 70s and 80s. There's always been bits and pieces of controversy in and around the Olympics, but it's usually involving the athletes,
right,
and the competition itself.
Yeah, which makes perfect sense. You're talking about, countries from all around the world competing against each other. That is completely natural and to be expected that, I don't know, they'd be behaving like rivals and competing with each other and, showing their own national pride. It all makes sense, right?
Yeah. And again, people, it's competitive sport at the highest level. And you will always have had and always will have people who will find ways or try to cheat the system or try to whatever. That's never going away in athletic competition. It's not. Right. And okay, it's happened in the Olympics. It'll happen in the as long as there is an Olympics. We're used to that in the sense that, yes, it happens. Is it despicable in a place where you're supposed to be? It's about sportsmanship. It's about the highest, performance by a human being. It's supposed to be all of those things. And it's not. Okay. That's why we have drug testing. That's why, you know what I mean? Like we have
humans are going to be humans. The world is what it is. Yeah.
Right? But again, that's I would say in the spirit of competition, because that's kind of like not what we're talking about, but it is in the throes of competition. It's in the sense of competition. Somebody's always trying to get a leg up, legally or illegally, morally or immorally, ethically or unethically. There's always somebody trying to be better. That's not this. This is not that.
Not even remotely. And I again, this is another case of where I decided that I unilaterally decided, that I wasn't going to rehash the video of the debauchery and disgustingness and, just human depravity. We don't need to see it again. I do have some pictures that I will share. But the whole video, if you have seen it, you already know. If you haven't seen it, you're welcome. You don't need to see it. It's nothing that will enrich your life, make your day better, bring you joy, unless you're really twisted, I guess, really. And that's going to offend a lot of people, but surprise, surprise, of course. And if they don't care that they've offended me, I definitely don't care that I've offended them. Having said that, all I'll say about that aspect of it is that I'm not mad. I'm offended. I'm disgusted. All of those things. I'm not mad. Like I said before, the world is going to do what the world is going to do. And these people have made a blatant choice, which they now backpedal on and deny, to mock God. They thought it was funny. They thought it would be a great idea to put on this display. And then when people got mad, as of course people would, which they don't care about that. They care about the fact that major sponsors pulled advertisements, billions of dollars worth of advertisements, said, no, thanks. We're not going to be part of that. Now they care a little bit, now it's like, no, we weren't mocking God. We're so sorry you thought that. We didn't mean that at all. This was, and then here's, of course, the laughable part. Like, no, this is like Greek gods and mythology and, Olympics. It's all tied together. This was blatant. This backpedaling is all about trying to get some of that money back, some of that support back. And, I don't really know how they didn't think that there wasn't going to be this kind of backlash, that there wouldn't be this kind of reaction to it, and the fact that the world finds it more than acceptable to insult, mock Christianity, and then expect the rest of the world to just bow down to them and be afraid to make fun of them. No, like you just crossed the line so far now that the gloves are off. Gloves are completely off. I'm not going to be nice anymore. I'm not doing it. So I want it to be gentle and kind, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of problems with this. The first problem is that, the opening ceremonies has become something that it never was supposed to be, right? The opening ceremonies was always very simplistic. You had that parade of nations, right? All the teams walk into the stadium, flag waving, and they're all in their, uniforms and all that. And we light the big torch, right? That's it.
That's it.
Right? That's the requirement.
Right.
But we've turned it into this stage, performance. And, we've seen things like James Bond and the Queen of England, and we've seen celebrity, and we've seen, all drone, the synchronized drone flights of the last Olympics, which was cool. I mean, it was better than fireworks. It looked really great.
Right.
But take that money, build a better Olympic village.
Yeah. How about that?
Take that money, and reinvest it in the facilities.
Yeah.
Make sure that the lights work, and make sure that the power grid in Paris doesn't go down. And
how about that?
Like we've gone beyond the spirit of competition, amateur competition, by the way, what the Olympics was for a very, very long time. And we've gone into stage and screen and show, and it's all about the flash and those kinds of things.
Right. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they could have, I don't know, cleaned the river that they were using for part of the tour. Like there's a thought. There's a thought. Maybe keep your promise that you were going to get it all cleaned up and get all that toxic waste out of there. And maybe you could have used some of the money for that, since the athletes would be in it. Just a thought.
Yeah.
So freaking wacky, right? I mean, some of the things. Go ahead.
No, it's just, so they went into this performance. And listen, if the roles were reversed,
right,
and this was in any way, right?
Yeah.
If the roles were reversed in the sense where you had a bunch of Christians making fun of the LGBTQ community,
could you imagine?
Passion, it would be a travesty. It would be a crime. It would be horrible. If you did this to another religion,
any other religion,
specifically Islam, if you did this, Paris would be on fire right now.
No question about it.
There would be violence. Listen, there have been Muslim extremists that have reacted to cartoons with mass murder. Right?
Yes.
This stuff is not taken in the same light as the broader Christian faith has taken this.
Right.
By the way, we've said this before because we've talked about this in the sense of Palestine and all. The Muslim community is completely unwelcoming of the gay community. Completely unwelcoming.
Like completely.
Where there are portions of the Christian faith, right? Different religions, different subsets of the larger Christianity that are and have become and are becoming more accepting of the LGBTQ community. Right. So why are you picking a fight? But again, why is that even the content of the opening ceremony of the Olympics?
Right.
Why?
Yeah.
What is it's not an accident.
What does it have to do with anything? Absolutely. It doesn't have to do with what they claim now that it has to do with. Absolutely not. A bearded man dressed as a woman in, like a skimpy whatever the heck, and stockings and high heels, crawling across the stage. I'm pretty sure that has nothing to do, like, we're going to even go ahead and say, sure, we believe that you meant that it was, to do with the gods and Zeus and blah, 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 and whatever you wanted to call it. I'm pretty sure none of them were catwalking, across a stage and scantily clad. I'm pretty sure that's not the case. So stop with the silliness. All of it is such an absurd display of nonsense, like you said, that had nothing to do. What do they have? Did they have like all of the different representatives from the countries like out on boats, just like zooming by and waving their flags or something? Like I see. So I refused to watch it.
Yeah.
Right. So all I'm catching is like little clips here and there, and I just see these boats with different representatives from each country with like their flags, and then like the boats are like going crazy because the waves were insane, like really, really bad. Oh, it was raining. Like the entire thing was an absolute mess and a disaster, no question about it.
And if you even want to say it's art, which listen, I get it. You know, interpretation of art is what it is. That is one of the things that, you know, the truest statement in the world, art is in, you know, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and that's where kind of art sits, right? Art's always open to interpretation. Okay, fine. I agree with you. The whole Greek mythology thing was a bunch of crap. It was backpedaling. They were trying to cover their ass. They're trying to get back their sponsors. I don't believe any of that. This also, if it was supposed to be art, which is what the choreographer, the designer says, although he's backpedaling as well because he made some statements right away that said this was, you know, an attack, as well as some of the performers who were involved.
Oh yeah, I have actually one of those. Where is she now? Yes, let's see. Where is this person? Yes, so her name, so this person in the center here in the blue, her name, or she goes by the name Barbara Butch.
Yep.
And in the first here, let me see if I can get that banner off of there. Hang on a second. So her name's Barbara Butch, and she initially puts out this statement basically saying, oh yes, New Gay Testament. Well, the backlash kicks in, and she hurries up and removes that post. But of course, people screenshot it and have it. And then she puts up the one beside it instead. Well, too late, honey. We've all seen it. So you know, hello, liar, liar, pants on fire. This is so typical.
Yeah.
You know?
If they're going to claim it's art and it's open to interpretation, okay, fine. I'll interpret it from my eyes and I'll provide my opinion. And it was atrocious. It was terrible. Even as it was terrible.
It was grotesque.
Horrible performance. It shouldn't have been on television.
Right.
You know, take all the rest of it out of there. So, you know, it was a fail from Jump Street. And I really, really want to know where the IOC was at, where the French Olympic Committee was at.
Seriously.
They had to have sat through the rehearsals. It's not like, you know, 3 minutes before showtime, it was like, surprise, and they threw the whole performance out there. So that's not it. But I would tell you, the thing that appalls me the most out of this, out of all of this, is that the Christian community is offended, and rightfully so, right? Their faith has been mocked. They have been attacked, you know, from their standpoint, which I don't disagree with. But now they're being attacked again for expressing their anger at this whole thing. Right. The same and the same people who throw fits about, you know, the Washington Redskins, about Mrs. Butterworth, about all of these things. Those are the same people that are now shaming Christians for being upset for having their faith attacked. That,
I believe it was you know,
is the worst part of this whole friggin' thing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. One of the ones I actually caught today was Whoopi Goldberg basically saying, if you don't like it, just turn the channel, change the channel, stop making a big deal of it.
Don't buy the syrup, right?
Don't buy the syrup, right? Like that's the irony. That the hypocrisy. The hypocrisy is so insane. It just makes you want to throw things because they're so absurd. And, you know, and as a Christian, let me say a couple of things as a Christian that really get me. So here's number one, first and foremost, I don't have to defend my God. He's going to take care of everything. Like you want to mock God, that's going to be your problem. You're going to have to answer to that. I'll pray for you. I feel bad for you because I've read Revelation. It's not going to be pretty and not going to be good. So I'm not mad at y'all. This is going to be, you're going to have your own consequence of that, whether you believe it or not believe it. I wouldn't want to take my chances based off of that. Maybe you should read Revelation to see what you might have in store for you. But whatever, you do you. Perfectly fine. What actually gets me the most is the blatant ignorance as to what Christianity actually is. So they take these sound bites, they take these little nuggets that somebody who's either an atheist or simply hates Christians throws out to them and then they run with it. You know, the whole, like their favorite song and dance is that Christians hate the gays. That is so incorrect. It is not that we don't want them. They're not banned from our churches. They are welcome. They're sinners. We're sinners. We're all sinners. And here's the difference between us and anyone who's not a Christian. We know that we're sinners. We know that we are faulted human beings who cannot fix ourselves, and we need help being fixed. So, and we lump ourselves right in with them. So we say, come to church, join us, be a part of this. Let God change your heart. You change your mind and you let God change your heart. And whatever happens, happens in your life. But I'm not saying, I have no business judging anyone because I have my own sins that I have to work on and deal with. But what people do need to do is show a little bit of respect, show just agree to disagree. Like the hypocrisy is the thing that actually does make me a little bit crazy. Everything else, I don't care. That's your problem. Listen, you want to sit down and have a one-on-one and hear about, why I believe what I believe. I'll love to sit and listen on a one-on-one. I'm not arguing with people on the internet because that's just absurd. I mean, we see those things in the comments section, right? Oh,
okay. Now that we've got Elsa all riled up.
I'm all riled up, man.
You're good. Now, that's really the crux of it all. And there's a lot of problems with this Olympics, but the crux of it all is the, what bothers me the most, as I said, is the hypocrisy and we can protest and we can express our opinion and we can be upset, but you can't be upset back. That doesn't fly. So
no.
The Olympics, I think, this is a pretty big hit. The Olympics, truthfully, are on a downturn. People don't. We've talked about this before. That people don't pay attention to the Olympics. Most people didn't even know this was an Olympic year until really a few weeks ago. And then
I was one of those people,
right? You get this, and trust me, they've gotten a lot of press, but it's not good, right?
No.
So the Olympics are not in the best position right now to be doing something like this. I would recommend the next set of Olympics. I don't know, here in the United States, tamp things down a little bit, like.
Calm it down. Make it about, make it about the athletes.
Yeah.
How about that for a silly idea, right?
On that.
Yeah. And, and again, and probably just to round out the conversation, right? The truly saddest part, the affront to Christianity is one whole thing. But again, I think the majority of Christians will say pretty much what I said, which is our God's going to handle that. We don't have to fight that battle. He's got it. But the next layer of, sadness is for those athletes.
Yep.
Like, come on, man, these people trained like their whole lives for this. And now it's overshadowed. Like all of that is overshadowed. I know plenty of people are watching, but there are also plenty of people who are not. And these, these things that these people work so hard for and probably have done tremendous damage to their bodies for, it's overshadowed by this absurdity, this silliness, and that's a tragedy. Yeah. I'm sad for them.
Yeah, the Olympics has lost the bubble.
Yeah,
it's about sport and athletes, and it's not.
Yep, very, very sad.
Yeah.
Should we move on to? It's not sad. It's just a head shaker. Yeah. Let's talk about this.
Yeah. So the lost, leading the lost, bewildered, crazy, last gasp of the current president.
Yes.
To throw out, and listen, everybody has already said, including Schumer himself, has said none of this is going to pass.
Right. No.
So it's a death throes, whatever you want to call it. It's a last gasp by the current president administration. Yeah. But they want to get this ball moving and they want to get it into the public in the event that Vice President Harris wins the election and then she can continue to move this through.
Right.
So for those of you that don't know, there's three pillars to this Supreme Court reform that the president has forwarded. First being term limits to the Supreme Court, which I am 100% against. There's a reason that was all written into the Constitution, and it was to make sure that those justices cannot be swayed based on term limits and trying to be reelected and those kinds of things. Now they all choose when they retire or die, and it happens to be, and it can be in both directions. But I think term limits for the Supreme Court is in absolute reaction to, well, there's too many conservatives. the court's not balanced. The
Right.
court's this, the court's that. Well, the court's not political. Oh, by the way, if you go back and look at their voting record for the past year, it's there's a lot more conservative judges voting against what their party wants.
Right.
You know.
It's very even-handed, I think. I think it's been very even-handed and very by the letter of the Constitution, essentially.
Yeah. So that first pillar is it's been offered before. I don't think it'll ever pass. The second pillar, which hasn't been defined very well, is a code of conduct for the justices. So I haven't seen any detail on exactly what's in there.
Right.
But
I've got a couple of things on it. So justices would need to disclose gifts, avoid public political activities, and recuse themselves in cases of conflicts of interest, aligning with conduct rules for other federal judges. So that's what they have for that.
Yeah, that's not how that works. Because when you recuse yourself as a Supreme Court justice, now you have changed the balance. Not in the balance of power party for party, but now you went to an even. So now you've got to draw on a no decision. And then what do you do? So you can't have one justice recuse themselves out of the process. That doesn't work. But also we put those people on that court and confirmed by Congress specifically because we trust them to conduct themselves in accordance with the Constitution and to interpret law. That's what they
it's pretty much written in there. Not pretty much. It's simply written in there that's the job. That's what you do.
So again, wasted effort, wasted time.
Right.
And this is in response to Clarence Thomas, they say, took whatever it was, rounds of golf and some other crap, as if the president and every other person in Washington, D.C. doesn't get the same kind of thing. Stop. Right. That's how lobbying works. That's how everybody who moves to DC, makes, between $90,000 and $400,000 a year. And after 4 years, they're all multimillionaires.
Yes.
Give it a rest.
Exactly.
And then the last part is that he wants to, it's funny because it's about immunity for the president. And the way he stated it is exactly how the Supreme Court interpreted it.
Right.
So there's nothing there.
No, this is just, blustering. And, I think, like you said, I think, lining it up in the hopes that Kamala Harris will get elected. God help us all. And, she'll be able to probably tweak this in some ways that, will obviously benefit them. And, I hope, I forgot who you said it was that was saying, I think it was quite a few people were saying that this isn't going to go anywhere. It's not going to get any traction. And it's silly. And do any of us actually think that Biden had actually anything to do with this? Because I'm pretty sure this was Kamala, who is, the acting president without acting like a president, and without being called that. Everybody's just pretending that Biden's still running the show. He's down in his basement eating ice cream, or if you believe some of the conspiracy theorists, he's not even here. Yeah. So,
this is the party. This is the Democratic Party wrote this.
Yes.
I mean, the presidential immunity literally is exactly how the Supreme Court interpreted it just a few weeks ago. And let me tell you something. When you say that the president doesn't have immunity for things like directing an attack, right? You can be that's if President Obama didn't have immunity, we would never have killed Osama bin Laden, because that was a targeted strike. That was a kill that wasn't even a capture mission. That was a kill mission, right? He directed an assassination of a specific person. That is murder, okay, by federal law. So if you want to take immunity away, and you're going to go back in time, and President Obama, and oh, by the way, probably Secretary Clinton and probably Secretary Gates, who will be accomplices, will all get prosecuted, okay?
Yes.
We don't want to go down that road. Also, if you want to start holding people accountable, we spent 20 years at war and spending money as if we were at war without Congress ever declaring war. So let's do a little bit better about, holding people accountable.
Right.
Our Congress allowed, right? They were complicit, if you want to call it that, in presidential activity that is, beyond the scope of the Constitution. We should have, if we were going to continue in Afghanistan for 20 years, we should have declared war 19 years ago.
Sure.
Right.
Right.
So, it's all BS. It's all bluster, and it's never going to go anywhere. But, people have to stop and think about this and really, where is it going in the future? Why did they do this? And I think you're right in that, in what we said is they're setting up Vice President Harris, if she gets elected, to carry this forward in a different manner. This is going to get adjusted and resubmitted. But right now it's just open for voting.
Yeah, it'll end up being, one of those things like Pelosi and what was it, like Obamacare? You'll read it after we sign it.
Right. Yeah.
Type of thing. You don't need to read it until after it's signed. Everybody, just shut up and like it. That's all. That was basically the, the response. And that's, and if we do get 4 years of Kamala Harris, get used to a lot of that.
Well, she got the endorsement. She got the golden ticket.
She got it. She got it. Yes, she did. Shall we take a watch of that? Hang on. I'm going to take that. Let me take that banner off because it'll get in the way. Hang on. Let's take that off of there and then we can put it back on after. But here is here's the phone call. Very impromptu phone call. Not scripted at all. Ready?
Kamala.
Hello. Hi.
Hey there.
Oh, hi. You're both together. Oh, it's good to hear you both.
I can't have this phone call without saying to my girl Kamala, I am proud of you. This is going to be historic.
We called to say Michelle and I couldn't be prouder to endorse you and to do everything we can to get you through this election and into the Oval Office.
Oh, my goodness. Michelle, Brock, this means so much to me. I am looking forward to doing this with the two of you, Doug and I both, and getting out there, being on the road. But most of all, I just want to tell you the words you have spoken and the friendship that you have given over all these years mean more than I can express. So thank you both. It means so much. And we're going to have some fun with this too, aren't we?
Yeah. How about that? Exactly. Totally impromptu, like you said. And listen, I'm just curious, Clay, when you talk on speakerphone, do you put your phone up to your ear? I'm just like pretty sure anytime I ever speak on speakerphone, we hold our phone like this. So she needs some acting classes. I feel like I could give her some acting classes. Yeah. I can teach her how to act like Kamala.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. You do a lot of, a lot more than just this podcast. You spend a lot of time, on the socials and, you have another podcast that you do. And, Elsa is out there in the world a lot. Do you walk around with a lapel mic on all the time?
What an excellent question.
Potentially capture a phone call, an impromptu, unplanned, unscheduled phone call that may come in to endorse you for president. Do you wear one of those?
Why, Clay, I don't. It's so strange that you would ask that.
They really think we're dumb.
I'm telling you.
Really think we're dumb.
We thought, or I thought at least, I thought I can't remember the actress's name, but the whole BET phone call thing that she did with that actress, I thought that was so cringy beyond words. This was next level. This was next level of cringe. And again, and I say something like this a lot as we talk about this whole Democrat Party and their shenanigans. What bothers me is the people watching these things and just going, oh, isn't that special? So exciting. This is such a historic, magical, amazing moment. It's an orchestrated load of BS. And I can't believe that you are perfectly fine with the fact that you had no say in who your candidate is.
Zero.
And they're like, that's okay. That's all right. I mean, trying to rein it in, Clay. I'm struggling, man.
This is one of those things, right? This is one of those, you want to shake people. You really do. Like, you want to grab somebody by the shoulders and shake them and go, do you not see this? Do you not understand that this is all theater? right? And it is theater, but it extends to everything. This is just an example of how people are being exploited, right? In making them believe that none of this stuff is orchestrated, that it's just part of life and it's very impromptu, and we just happen to have a camera and a mic, and let alone the fact that she called the former president by his first name, which is, if somebody, and I know, if she gets into office, she's not going to take that.
Right. Oh, absolutely not.
Hell no. So I just, that all is a bunch of crap. In fact, that was probably like the very Hollywood phone call where, like the Obama said their lines, it was all recorded.
Right.
Play. You know what I mean? And
absolutely. Like they're literally reading a script.
Yeah.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah.
Like really badly.
All, like, edited together. Like, they probably got the best sound guys in the world to piece that thing together. But what a bunch of garbage. I mean,
absolutely.
They really do think people are stupid. And that's the shameful part, is they are just exploiting the crap out of people. It's insulting. It really is. And people don't get it.
They don't. They don't. They are perfectly fine with it. Their only cares in this world right now is their little mantra, which is two things. They have two mantras: anything but Trump, and first Black woman president. Woo! If you stop and ask them, and I challenge every single person watching this, I challenge you, I beg you, I ask you, to any person that you come across that is all, Kamala ding dong for president. Did I say that? Whoops. I'm only kidding. I don't feel bad. I challenge you to ask them, could you please tell me what she's accomplished in her entire political career? What are her accomplishments? What makes her qualified for this job? Because I've got a huge list that I am compiling, and I mean huge, of all of the things that she has done or not done throughout her entire political career. And I can tell you right now, it ain't good.
No.
It ain't good, man.
It's and the nice part is that it is all coming out in the wash.
Yes.
Like we are seeing, the internet is undefeated. Beautiful thing, right? So we've seen that, which is great. We've even seen it, on the show today. Great screen grab from the Olympics, right?
Yep.
The internet's undefeated, and people now, like I'm still not wired for that, but that screen grab thing, like that's all people do now. Literally, it's like being
all day long. Right? Yes.
So
they make my job so easy. Yeah.
Right. So this is Kevin Hart is like the perfect person, right? He is the perfect example of all of this. Said something terrible 12 years ago, right? Ask him to host an award show, and then somebody goes, "Hey, what about this he said 12 years ago?" And then he's done. Right?
He's out.
We're going to see all of the same stuff, and we're already starting to see it. Vice President Harris, as she approaches and this run to the White House,
right.
All of her, Willie Brown, right?
Yes.
All the stuff from California, all of her stances on, punishment for drugs, all of her stance on crime, her very, very failed run at the White House 4 years ago,
right?
Which she didn't even make it to the primaries,
right?
Got destroyed in the debates, and then obviously all of the stupid that, I hate to say that, but all of the stupid over the last 4 years, and
a tremendous amount of stupid, from being unburdened to coconut trees, to the passage of time, to Ukraine is a small country and Russia is a big country. Venn diagrams, yellow school. Let me just, like, the Venn diagrams. It unfortunately lives rent free in my head, and I am so embarrassed to tell you how many times in a week I hear myself going, "I love Venn diagram," and it makes my ears bleed just thinking about it. But so just the categorically stupid parade of stupid that comes out of her mouth should be mortifying enough for the country. But nope, they're like, this is great. And and they are, and don't get me wrong, and don't misunderstand Clay either. she is deeply concerning. This is not a joke at all, that she could very, very realistically win this election. And I think it can't be stated enough that this is not a time for relaxing by any means and assuming that because Trump is doing so well, she's doing well. And it's not because of her, it's because of the machine. So do not assume that because she's so dumb that she won't get this, And don't forget, you have big tech working on her behalf. You have, let's give some examples. So let's start with just a little bit of fun election interference already happening. This is all over X, and I highly recommend people go take a look over X, because people over there are on fire with finding things. Like Clay just said, those screen grabs are, but yes. So, people who are smarter than me said, oh, you know what? Let me go check out what happens when I type in Donald Trump into or President Donald Trump into the search results or search bar of Google. Well, what a surprise. They are suppressing all things Donald Trump. So when you type in Donald Trump, you get Kamala Harris. When you type in Kamala Harris, you get Kamala Harris. So that's just one of the things that is actively happening right now. Another thing that is actively happening right now, and they keep getting caught.
Now,
They keep getting caught. Go ahead.
One second. That has been rectified, is my understanding.
Did they fix it?
However,
Mhm.
the only reason they fixed it is because they got caught. Right? I'm not saying it happened. It definitely happened. It's been documented. Right. It's all over the place. Google and everybody else involved has said, "Oh, we didn't know," and it was
we don't know how that happened.
AI did it. Oh, okay, that's very reassuring. Thank you. But it's been rectified. But again, only because they got caught.
Right, and the same thing with Meta flagging the Donald Trump, the famous Donald Trump photo with the fist raised. They started not suppressing it, but blocking it and telling people it's like false information. Yep. And then enough people, called them out for it. And they're like, oops, that wasn't supposed to happen. That was supposed to be flagging a different picture. We didn't mean to do that to that one, again. And that's like the whole key here, that you have to stay on top of them. You have to make a lot of noise, because this is the only way to get them to be honest, to behave honestly. What was the other one? There was another one. The whole border czar thing. Did you see this? So Time and several other major platforms, magazines, whatever, started saying this. Kamala Harris was never Biden's border czar. Here's what she really did. So unfortunately, again, for them, like you said, the internet is undefeated, because here we have it.
The VP today, because she's the most qualified person to do it, to lead our efforts with Mexico and the Northern Triangle and the countries that help. We're going to need help in stemming the movement of so many folks, stemming the migration to our southern border.
I mean, that's painful to watch in itself. Yeah, so if you could even understand any of that incoherent rambling, he was basically calling her the border czar. Sum it up. Border czar.
He was a bumbling idiot back during COVID, and now people are acting surprised. There you go.
We never saw this coming.
Yeah, but not only do you have that, right? So you've got Time and other news outlets that are saying, no, she was never. There are news outlets that are physically removing articles, like getting rid of articles that talked about her being the border czar to support that effort. Right? They're removing history. They're rewriting. Pretty sure this is in a book somewhere, right? Yeah.
Very familiar.
Right. So this is media once again in collusion with the Democratic Party to try and get Vice President Harris into the White House. And she did such a shit job on the border that this is what they have to do. They have to attempt to erase the fact that she was even associated with it, because it's so bad. It is consistently the number one or number two issue when they ask voters what they're concerned about. And it's always the border and the economy. Those are the top two. And they go kind of back and forth depending on the poll, but it's always those two. And to your, attempt at erasing history,
There's this one here. I don't know if you saw this one from GovTrack. Tried to remove this information about her being, a progressive, an ultra, like the leftist of the left, basically, an ultra progressive liberal. They wanted to tone that down, so they tried to erase that. And again, people on the internet are like, hang on a second, I think I have that somewhere in my files. Like, people are so smart, like to see so far ahead. Like, wait, I bet I know what they're going to do. And sure enough, thank goodness for them, because we wouldn't know.
Again, internet undefeated, thank God. But that's what this is. It's collusion between the party. And this is why nobody trusts the media, right? Because it's all garbage, whether they're reporting erroneously on purpose or on accident, or they're doing stuff like this. This is malicious, right?
Yeah.
It's
evil,
evil,
absolutely.
right?
This is blatant election interference.
Arguable, sure. And probably within a court of law, you could argue that.
Right. And it should be technically, but by the time it got anywhere, it won't even matter. At least not this go around. Right. No, it's a very scary reality. And again, we've said it many times, and I think people forget that. I may call them dummies and things like that, but the reality is they are very smart, and they've always been a handful of steps ahead of us, unfortunately. And because of they have a devious, malicious, evil nature, and we don't. I mean, obviously, there's people everywhere that do, wherever your party affiliation is. But as the general collective whole, we have this silly notion of doing things right, doing things honestly and fairly, and trusting in our system and our process and all of those things. And, and then we're like, wait, what? They're cheating? Oh, no, we've got to do something about this. When the reality is we should have been doing something about this before they even had a chance to cheat. And, so now we're always playing catch up. And that's so frustrating to me.
But the beautiful thing is sometimes it works in our favor, right? And so the vice presidential candidate, J.D. Vance, this week, something has been, dredged up, and has been thrown in his face to try and attack him and make him, look. He's been accused of all kinds of things. He's been
nonstop,
of racism, of fascism, of compared to Nazis and a very Third Reich like atmosphere and all these things, because a quote from 3 years ago has been taken out of context and only in a portion.
Right.
And thank God, yet again, saved by the internet, because the entire quote, of course, is out there, and people who care have brought it forward and said, that is not what he said. Not in completion and not in context. And oh, by the way, if you take the complete quote and you take it in context, it doesn't mean what you keep saying it means. There's actually an MSNBC reporter who accused him of this quote where he said that right now our country is being ruled by childless cat ladies. And there's a lot more to it than that, but that's the quote he's using. That this woman said that he was, she was one of the accusers, that he wants for white nationalism and only wants white babies in this country and blah, 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 blah.
And what's the irony of that statement?
He's married to an Indian woman and has mixed race children. Like, give it a rest.
Stop.
It's just crap. But again, because the internet is undefeated, people brought forward the quote and are rectifying the situation. Now, you've got stupidity stepping in. Jennifer and decided to show how politically not savvy she is.
Yes.
Stick her nose in the middle of this, where she should have just sat back and kept her mouth shut.
Yeah.
But
the gaggle of childless cat ladies are chiming in.
Because of course she is 50, whatever, 4 years old, has never had a child, and and she took personal offense to this. And his point was, there are people who are adamantly against the nuclear family in this country now. And they are the ones who are determining policy, and they're determining policy to the detriment of the traditional nuclear family. Right. That was the point of the statement. Now, I don't think, I'm just guessing, I don't think that he was specifically calling out Jennifer Aniston because she's never had a child. I don't think that was what he was saying. But she decided to stick her nose in it, and she got smacked a little bit. Again, this is the slanderous stuff has started. Right. Media's participant right there. Bad journalism. bad
Oh, yeah.
journalism.
Right.
And this is what we're getting. We
Right.
knew, you and I called it. I mean,
Mhm.
not that it was a tough call, but we knew this was coming. The
Right.
civility, the call for civility lasted about a week.
Yep.
And that was it.
That was it. That was it. And even that was a partial civility. Like it was a veiled civility. You know, it was like, oh, well, you know, we're so glad he's okay. And we wouldn't wish that on anyone, assuming that, of course, it actually happened. But, you know, I mean, if it did, you know what I mean? It was like that backhanded, you know, it's like a backhanded apology, basically. Yeah. You know, it's a terrible thing to happen, of course. And of course, we don't know if he was hit by shrapnel or a piece of glass or a bullet, but you know, but I mean, you know, whatever. We still like don't think it's cool. What a bunch of scumbags they are, really. Honestly, they're just a bunch of filthy scumbags. They are. And as always, and I know I'm repetitive on this, I do, but it's so important to point out that we get it, we see it, we know, we see the other side of what they're doing. We see the dark side of the moon there. And there are so many people out there that are only seeing what they put out, and they believe it wholeheartedly. And you can't even get mad at them, because this is all they've known, to trust the mainstream media, trust the politicians, which is bizarre to me, but to trust what they're being told, because nobody would ever say a lie to us. You know, nobody in power would ever lie to us. All of those things. I talk to people every single day who believe these things wholeheartedly. I just had somebody yesterday or the day before say to me, just a simple statement, well, JD Vance really stepped in it with that crazy cat lady comment. I said, okay, first of all, it's childless cat lady. So he didn't call him crazy. You just called him childless. Now you're just adding things to it. And it was taken really out of context. And the response was, well, I don't know. He still shouldn't have said it. Well,
you don't even know what he said.
You don't even know what he said. Yeah. Like you don't even know.
It was 3 years ago. Like, come on.
Yeah.
But again, you're right. And this is people being fed, you know, people being fed crap from the media.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You know, this is that overarching topic, you know, you and I have been talking about for months, probably the whole year that we've been doing the show together. You know, it is that, right? There are the people who continue to believe what the mainstream media feeds them. They do absolutely no additional research, and they just take it as it comes, and that's what they believe. And when you do that, you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
You get the last 4 years. That's what you get. You get the last 4 years. When you believe the crap that the box on the wall tells you, this is where we are.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, and my feeling about that too is like, you people get what you deserve, but we don't deserve it. And you, right? Like you sucked us in to your bottomless dumpster fire garbage pit of existence now, or the economy, the world affair, all of it. Like you sucked us down into your vortex because you are too blind to open your eyes and see more than what you're seeing. And it is, you know, it's extremely frustrating. And I'm so adamant about people on the right who are, you know, we've talked about this before, the moderates, the, you know, the closet conservatives, like the, you know, just the quiet majority, because that's technically, I think, what they actually are. You can't be quiet. You cannot be quiet. You cannot be afraid of what they're going to say. This is why we're where we're at, because the quiet majority said, I don't really want to get involved. Yep. I don't want to argue with people. I'm afraid that, you know, this, that. No, open your mouth, say something. Beat them over the head with it. They're not afraid to beat you over the head with what they believe and feel. I mean, the Olympics was just the icing on the cake of proof of that. So, oh my goodness. All right, I'm off my soapbox. I'm done.
Listen, it is, again, it's a common theme. It really is. I mean, and we can't, I would love to go, you know, the lunacy route. Truth. Like I had a like visceral reaction today. They were talking about the governor of Minnesota, who was on a Zoom call with an organization called White Guys for Kamala.
Yes.
Okay?
Oh,
and one of his statements was that socialism, one person's socialism, is another person's neighborly conduct. Okay, and just like, you know, going down the wrong road, going down the wrong road. My brain went all kinds of places, and I just wanted to be absurd with it. Like that was my gut. Like, because we're never that, right? We are we're never
Right.
that. And I just wanted to be like, white guys for Kamala, huh? Racist. Racist organization.
Absolutely.
Does it have any other members that aren't white guys? No.
Right.
Racist. Right.
Right.
But we don't operate like that. Like
No.
that's not how we operate. And unfortunately, that is where the country is at right now. Is you've got a very, we talked about the difference in reaction after President Trump got shot versus the things that have been happening the last 6 or 7, 8 years. But you got one side that reacts calmly, coolly, truthfully, with a lot of with no spite or less spite, no physical response in that manner. But then you got the other end of the spectrum, which is just goes off the rails. Yeah. You have the Will Smiths of the world that just their solution is to walk up and slap somebody.
Yeah. Yep. And that is their answer. If you don't agree with me, if you confront me with facts and reality, I'm just going to choose violence. That's it. And justify it with, well, I didn't like what you said, so I get to hit you or burn down your house or your town or your car or whatever. So that is what we're dealing with. And I get why people are afraid to confront that because they're crazy.
The end of that is coming, though. The end of that difference is coming. I have to believe this, and I have to believe, unfortunately, that November is going to determine a lot. And I'm not wishing for violence. I'm just saying that that long wick is burning, and it's getting very, very close. And I really, really hope that it never comes to that. But I think we're not far from it, which is a shame. It's travesty. But that's where we are. There's one side that's been executing violence, and there's been one side that has been tolerating violence. And I think the side that's been tolerating is about done tolerating. And I think it'll get ugly very, very quickly.
Yeah. There's only so far you can push good people. There's only so far. There's only so much people are going to take. And when you're destroying, the very fabric of our existence, there's a point where people say that's enough. We're done with it.
And there's a bunch of us. I hate to say, there's a whole generation of guys and gals who truthfully are more often on the conservative side,
right?
Who spent the last 20 years in uniform. Yeah, like we're not the people to screw with. Like, I don't ever want to say that, and I don't ever want to, put myself in a box with a bunch of other veterans. I'm just saying that, like, there are people out there that you don't want to push. There are movies out there about this. There's tons. Go back and watch First Blood. It's like the seminal movie of, like, he's just a veteran. He's a good guy. He's seen a lot of bad stuff, but you push him too far and bad stuff happens. Yeah. But that's where our nation is right now, I think.
Yes.
Okay. So we're way off right now.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, we need, listen, we both needed a soapbox moment. I had a couple few tonight, so I was riled up, but that's okay. We're good. We're calm. We're centered. We're good. Oh my goodness, guys, look at the time. We always appreciate you guys hanging out with us. The drill. We love to see in the comments section. We love to chat with you and hear your thoughts and your perspectives and all of that good stuff. And we thank you as always for joining us in our talks and our tirades and whatever it might be. It's always a surprise to us too. So we thank you very much. Clay, you go ahead and say what you want to tell them and take them out.
Last week was a banner week. I think it might have been a record for participation across all the platforms in clicks and likes and viewership and comments. And so I think that was, kind of a big one. So we really, really do appreciate it. It's a lot of fun. As always, I'm monitoring on multiple platforms, my phone and all kinds of other stuff. So we love it. And please keep coming back. And from me, as always, keep moving, keep shooting.
Take care, guys. See you next time.